Hey guys, Cuiv the Lazy Geek posted a video where he shot 30 hours of data on the Rosette Nebula. And he was having a little, he pre-processed it really nice, but the middle, he wanted to be a little more turquoise than blue. And I thought this would be fun to play with this data and kind of use it as a tutorial too. So let's see what we got here. Let me pull up his file. Now I'm going to go slow, so hopefully everyone can follow. A lot of these processes take a long time, so and if I start going a little fast, I learned a long time ago when you're following these tutorials, you have to pause while you're doing yours. Play, pause, play, pause. Play it back. I didn't quite get that. Watch it one more time. And then you can, if you don't understand something, just give me a comment. Alright, click on this right here and this will give you the largest view that you can see. Now, let's stretch it, and now this is a linked stretch. So it's stretching all the channels exactly the same. But what we want to do is do an unlinked stretch. So you go to Process, Intensity Transformation, Screen Transfer Function. And then over here, just unclick that so the box is not there. And then stretch it again. And now you can see the levels here are stretched a little differently, so you get a normal or more or less normal thing. And man, that's a lot of data. Look at that. So the first thing I'm going to do is, his was cropped a little bit, so I'm going to crop it some. It's real close to what he had. So you go to Geometry, Dynamic Crop, and hit that, and now this whole thing, and then you can go over here. Let's pull this down a little bit so you can see. And then when that changes, that means you can grab it and pull it up. Now let's pull it up to about there. That seems to be about where he had it. And then click the checkbox. Don't worry about that. And then we're going to, oh man, we got a full screen picture now. So now what we need to do is a dynamic background extraction. So you go to Background Modelization, Dynamic Background Extraction. And you open your sample generation, you open your target image correction, activate it. Puts the squares on there. Now this is it's got some heavy gradients. You can see this over here. So I'm going to put it pretty strong, about an 8. And then we're going to do a default sample size. Now I believe this is in pixels, so we're going to do a 10 by 10. And we're going to leave the sample rows at 10. This is going to give us 10 rows across. And then we're going to delete a lot of them. So click Generate. And now we do not want some of these samples on the nebula. And let me tell you, this nebula is everywhere. So what I'm going to do, all right, you see we've got, this takes you to the very end. And it turns green right here. So that's your last sample. We got 66. And this one takes you to the first one. And that's green. So, and then this takes you to the next one. Sample 2 is green. See how it's moving? This one's green now. Sample 3. Sample 4 is green. So let's start at the beginning. All right, so you need an idea of where it's nebula and where it's really not nebula, but I believe this part here is a nebula. This is not. this is not, this is, oh, this is, oh, this is, which is kind of cool. None of this is. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete, we're going to leave the ones that are black sky, and we're going to delete the ones that are on a nebula. So number 1, we're going to leave that one. Then we're going to go to 2, delete that one, delete that one, delete that one, delete that one, and I'm going to leave that one. Then we click there. I'm going to leave that one and that one, but we're deleting this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then I'm deleting that one and that one, but I'm going to leave that one. Delete, 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 delete. I'm going to move this one just a tad, because I can see some nebula right there. And then of course deleting that one and that one, and then I'm going to leave that one. So then we go delete, delete, delete. Of course we're deleting all of these. Leave that one. Delete, 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 delete. Leave that one. So now, here we are here. We're going to leave that one. Delete, 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 delete. Leave it. Leave it, leave it. Delete, delete, delete. Leave it. And I'm going to leave it, leave it. And we're deleting these. Leaving those. Okay, so now you can see that we basically have them just on the dark sky areas and nothing hopefully on the nebula. So now we got to check and make sure there's not one on a star. So let's go back to the beginning, click here, go to sample 1, and now you can see this is a star here. So we just zoom in, click on this up here quite a bit, and then click this arrow here and it'll take us right to the sample. Okay, and there's our sample, and we just move it. So we're going to do that with every one. There's, all right, this is sample 2, it's on a star. So we go to it, and we move it so it's not on a star. And I'm going to put it in right there. Sample 3 looks good. Oh, no. That there. Sample 4. I mean, there's stars everywhere, so this is kind of tough, but I kind of like to look around, stick it there. I think that's a good spot. I know this seems like a lot of work, but it's really worth it in the long run. All right. Oops. I hope this will do it. And then, all right, for a correction, go to subtraction. And we're not going to discard because I'm going to show you what we're getting rid of. And then click checkbox, let it do its thing. And then you can close it. Now this is what we pulled out. All of that weird gradient stuff. And this is what we have now, which is cool looking. That is very neat. So let's get rid of this one. This is the file we're going to be working on. Look at all of them stars. It's insane. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do deconvolution, but we're going to use Blur Exterminator from RC Astro. That's what Cuiv used. So that's what we're going to use, and it's a really cool tool. And I'm also going to reduce the stars. So this is the if you hit this, it resets it to the default, and I'm going to pull this to 40. And then the non-stellar, we're going to drop this down to like 75. And this is going to take a while, so I'll be back when it's done. Okay, so now what that did was the deconvolution. What it does is it analyzes the stars, and it looks for it checks its point spread function, or this what you see, this PSF. And if there's some mount errors, tracking errors, or atmospheric turbulence, the PSF is going to be a little convoluted. So what this is trying to do is straighten everything back up. And when it does that, it also straightens up everything else in the picture, and it sharpens it really nicely. And now this here, if you don't want to sharpen any of the stars, then you just turn that all the way down to 0. The default's 25. Cuiv wanted it to be very little stars in there, so we're going to 40, and then we're probably going to do another reduction later. And then this non-stellar, the default is 90, but we're not going to go that high, so we're dropping it down to about 75. But that's what that does, and it does an awesome job. So now we're going to use RC Astro's noise exterminator, I'm sorry. And this thing has, when I looked at it at first, I thought he had already run some noise reduction on there. I thought, man, it's really clean. But I'm going to leave it right here, and we're going to drop this down to about 70, and we're going to turn the detail up to about 20. And then what that does is it kind of brings back some of the detail from the denoise process. Okay, now hopefully with the YouTube algorithm, with YouTube you can be able to see this, but if we go back, that's the before, that's the after. Man, it's like night and day. It really cleans it up very well. So once those are done, we need to stretch it. Now he used a soft stretch method. I'm just going to do it manually. So you go to intensity transformations, histogram transformation, select file so you can see it up here, and then turn on the preview. Oh, first we got to unstretch it. there we go. Now, as you see, if I pull, this is the mid-tones. So right now we're just messing with the mid-tones. This is the highs and this is the lows. So this is the highs, this is the blacks, but we're just going to do the mid-tones. So we're going to pull that, and you can see it start to show up, and also this is moving. So what I like to do is move this to about this line here. So I'll hit the square button to make it activate, and now it does it. Now the preview is showing that if we do it again, so we're going to go ahead and do it one more time. Now if we did it one more time, it would pull it all the way over here, so you just hit the reset button and that pulls it back. And then we're just going to move it so it's just right along that line there. Not too far. It's kind of a little laggy. Okay, now we're going to pull these blacks, and I'm going to pull it all the way till it just barely starts to clip. That way we don't get rid of any data. So you see, now let's see how it starts to come back. So we're just barely going to about, right there's fine. Click OK. And then as our final, and we're just going to turn this up just a hair. We don't want to go too much because we're going to use Bill's HOO normalization, and that really brightens it. So it'll blow out the middle here when we add some saturation. So you don't want to go too far. So now we have a nonlinear image, meaning it's stretched. And now we need to remove the stars. Always leave your stride. We're using StarNat 2, and that's process way down here, etc. And don't forget to click Create Star Mask. That way we can put them back when we're done. Alright, so we close this. Make sure you keep this, because man, it sucks when you close it and when you want to add it back, you can't. But look at that. That is awesome. Man. I took this a picture of the Rosette Nebula last year, and I got about 5 hours worth of data, and I got the nebula really well. Then I got a little of the bright part here and this little wing here, but I didn't get any of this, none of that, none of this. 30 hours really makes a difference. So now we need to add Bill's normalization, which is right here, and all we have to do is drag and drop. Now what this does, it instead of an RGB image, it changes it into sort of a Hubble palette or an HOO image, hydrogen, oxygen, oxygen, instead of red, green, blue. And that's what you get. And it's still pretty bright right there, but I think we can deal with it. So we're going to turn the saturation up. We're going to mess with curve transformation most of the time now. You can do a lot with curves, so just Hit your preview, click on the saturation, and let's turn it up. That's going to really give us our sort of orangey yellow with the that dark blue in there. It's really awesome. Try not to blow out the middle there. Let's just pull this down some so we don't. Down like that. I'd like it to be just a little more, but that's okay. And once that's done, now typically part of the workflow is to remove all the green, even though you really don't see any green. You would go to Process, Noise Reduction, SCNR, and you would just take 100% of the green out of it. But we don't want to do that because Cuiv didn't like this blue. He wanted it more of a turquoise. So in order to do that, what we need to do is remove some of the blue, which makes the green a little stronger. And we're gonna do it to about 65%, I believe. That should work. And that should turn our blue into a turquoise. Similar to that. It looks pretty good. And that's just really cool. I like it. Look at that. It's at 300%. Alright, well, that's really all we need to do. Let's put the stars back, but we're really going to turn them down. So, an easy way to do that is with our pixel math. Yeah. We're just going to do a real simple. See, if we put the stars in just like they are now, right, click on this expression editor, and you just do your main image plus your star mask. And that puts all the stars back just like they were. But he didn't quite want that many stars in there. So we just go back, and we're going to, in our expression editor, we're going to add, let's say 80%. So you go parentheses 0.8 times, and then close the parentheses. And then that should only add 80% of the stars. And really looks good. Let's go a little smaller. Let's do 70%, see what that looks like. So you would just change that 8 to a 7. Yeah, let's hold it right there. I think we've got a really good image. So, I hope I didn't go too fast for everybody. If you like content like this, like and subscribe. Really thanks for Cuiv the Lazy Geek. If you don't follow his channel, make sure you do. You will learn a lot of stuff from him. And I hope he kind of likes it. And I appreciate him giving the, posting the data so we can play with it, because, I don't get to play with data like this very often. So let's see what we end up with.